here. I'm your host, Jerron Scott. Today we're here with Shatera.
Hi, fam.
Allow her to introduce herself.
Yes, hi. My name is Shatera Hillier. I am a licensed master social worker and a mental health therapist. I work with all types of people and all types of diagnoses, and I'm passionate about working with Black people, specifically Black women and girls living with disordered eating and substance use disorders.
Awesome. So we share something in common. We both spent some time in Richmond. I love meeting people who spent time in
Yes,
Richmond,
yes,
but
yes,
we share something even more special in common. We're both Rams. So
yes.
share. Tell me about your VCU experience.
Yeah, so I actually transferred into VCU. I started at another school in Virginia, and when I realized it wasn't the best fit for me, I found VCU. I went to VCU for theater performance. Actually, I have my
Oh
undergraduate
wow.
degree, yeah, in theater performance, and so auditioned and got in and spent the next 4 years at VCU. It's where I met a lot of good friends. It's where I pledged and crossed Delta Sigma Theta Sorority E Incorporated. Uh, it's where I got my BFA. It's also where I got launched into the professional world of performing. So it was definitely a life changing experience for me. I rave about VCU all the time. I tell my niece, as young as she is, when you get there, when you get older, you're going to VCU. But no, of course, it's always her choice. But I love VCU. I love Richmond. Still have friends and family there.
You're underselling yourself. VCU arts program is one of the best in the country.
Hmm.
It is extremely hard to get into that arts program,
Yeah,
especially as a transfer student.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
You're being very humble about that. That is major work. It is hard to get in. I used to work as an advisor at VCU, so
Okay.
I've seen people try to get into the arts program because they're just
Yeah.
like, I'm just going to choose any major because I'm going to try to get into the arts program. I've seen like students struggle to get into the arts program. So
Yeah.
kudos to you.
Thank
So
you.
performance, did you like performing like plays, musicals? What did you do?
Yeah, so I actually, while I was at VCU, I performed in one main stage play, and then I did some smaller plays at, I forget the name of it. I want to say it's like Schaefer Playhouse, I think it's called. I can't remember right now, but so I did some plays while I was in at VCU, and then when I moved right after graduating, I actually got my first performance contract. I want to say a month before graduation, and it was in Pennsylvania at Hershey Park. So before graduating, I had to go out there and start rehearsals, come back to VCU to graduate, then go back out there to actually start the show and start performing. I was there for 6 months, I believe, and then I moved to California, to Los Angeles, California. There, while working, I was able to do 2 episodes of Issa Rae's Awkward Black Girl while I was out
Hmm.
there, and then some auditioning and things like that. I landed another contract back in Hershey Park for their winter season. So I ended up going back to Hershey Park for the winter season for a few months and then moving and then coming back out to LA where I was living at the time. I stayed in LA for about a year before moving back home to DC. I was living with one of my parents, and so I was performing in DC for that summer while saving up to move to New York. So after a year living back home, performing in DC, I then moved to New York and was there for 6 years. And so I was able to perform at Amateur Night at the Apollo, do a lot of auditioning for Broadway and off Broadway. Unfortunately, I never landed anything Broadway wise, but it was a good experience. I met a lot of people, and yeah, it was a really really fantastic time of my life. So
That's amazing. I think that's a great story. Talking about following your dreams and just going for it. I
yeah.
think that's so dope. Anytime that's so inspirational. I think that's amazing. My undergrad degree is in biology, and I've done nothing with it. So so that's great that you're able to use your degree.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's really amazing.
Thank
So
you. Biology, I could not imagine. I could not imagine biology degree. Like you must be super duper smart. So
I, it was fun. Like I just enjoyed it. Like it wasn't too difficult. I was pre med, didn't go to med school,
oh,
but
okay. Nice.
it was fun. I
Yeah.
liked it. Um, So you said you still keep in contact with your friends in Richmond. When's the last time you've been?
So the last time I went was actually I want it was 2020, today it's 2026. I went in 2024, in April of 2024, my chapter, the Adatar chapter, at VCU, we had our 50th anniversary. And so I went down and stayed for the weekend. So I was able to be with my live sisters, was able to catch up with some friends just who I went to school with. Of course, chapter members and things like that. So the last time I was down there was 2024. And then before that, I want to say it was like 2021, where I had stopped through on my way visiting family in North Carolina. I had stopped through and saw the campus, and it's totally different than when I was there in the 2010s. So yeah, I love VCU. I rave about it all the time.
Yeah, VCU was down in Greenville. I live right outside of Greenville, South Carolina, for the NCAA tournament,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and I got an email from them saying, hey, we're taking some alumni out for dinner. Do you want to come? I thought it was a
Nice.
scam. I'm like, VCU don't want to take me out to dinner, but they did. But they took us out for dinner, and
Mhm.
it was a great time. I had a great time.
Yeah.
So they took us out, and I made some friends that were there. You know, it was cool. It
Mhm.
was a really cool time.
Yeah.
We went to the tournament. It was great. It was a great time.
Yeah.
We won. We won. I was there when they made that game winning shot and the game winning free throws. That was right at the rim I was at. So that was really cool seeing us come back against North Carolina like that.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of love for VCU. I got my PhD was free, so I was
Yes,
like,
yes.
I have not a bad thing to say about VCU. I know there's some people that do, but I have not a bad word to say. I went to a top 20 program,
Mhm.
top like 15 public program.
Yeah.
So it's just like, no.
Yeah.
I don't have a bad word like you. You went to what the art school's like the number one public art program in the country or something like that, top
Mhm.
five. It's
Mhm.
something
Mhm.
ridiculous. So it's just like, hey, they didn't do me
Yeah.
wrong. So how did you transition into mental health care?
Yeah, so I actually transitioned into mental health care during COVID. I
Mm,
was, like I said, I was living in New York. I was there for 6 years, and I had decided in 2019 that, yeah, this 2019 is going to be my last year. I'm moving back home in 2020. So I actually ended up moving December of 2019, and then COVID hit March of 2020. When I moved back home, I was able to connect with a young adult mental health center in DuPont Circle, and they had hired me as a personal trainer. While I was in New York performing, my job was working at a gym, and I was able to get my certificate and become a personal trainer, licensed, certified personal trainer, excuse me. And so when I moved back home, I got a job in DuPont Circle and was working as a personal trainer for young adults in the Young Adult Mental Health Center. And so when working with them, I was working with a lot of young adults anywhere between the ages of 17 to as old as I want to say 26, 27. A lot of them members of the LGBTQIA community, and some of them were trans individuals. So learning to work with them was different than working with someone who was not a member of this community. And so they had questions just about mindset, like how to change their mindset so that their body would essentially follow. And I could not confidently answer those questions. Also recognizing that I want to make sure I'm not providing false information or harmful information. And so while I was helping them, learn how to be stronger and things that they could do, I could not answer those questions that they have about what happens while I'm outside of our sessions. And so speaking with some of the women at the center that I was at, I spoke with some counselors, and then there was one in particular, my friend Mauda. Shout out to Mauda, who sat me down and was like, "You're going to school for social work," and then it was just onward from there.
nice, nice. My sister has her MSW, so that's really dope.
Mhm.
That's really
Mhm.
dope. Yeah, that's really cool. So what made you decide, like, instead of getting like maybe a counseling degree versus your MSW?
So when I was speaking with people who have their counselor's degrees, What I took from it is that they are like they know that what they want to do in their career is strictly direct practice. They want to
Mm.
work with individuals. They want to that's what they want to do. Me being the true Sagittarius that I am, I don't like to feel
Time out.
caged
My
in.
sister's a Sagittarius too.
Yes, we are very free people. We like to explore, we're very adventurous. We don't like to feel boxed in. I've always been that way. I don't like to feel like I can only do one thing. And not saying that counselors can only do one thing because absolutely not. That is not the truth. But the information that I was getting at the time was more so like counseling is direct practice. That's what they want to do. They like forever. And I was like, okay, cool. Social work, the information that I got, my research, speaking with friends and things like that, it was so expansive. And I was like, I know that I'm not going to want to do direct practice forever. I know I'm going to want to do other things. I also am very passionate about politics. And so macro social work was something that was really important to me as well. So when I went to school, understanding and learning that I could do both clinical and macro social work tracks, I was all for it. So I was like, yes, this is what I want to do. It keeps my options open, especially as I grow and evolve and my interests within social work change. So it just keeps me open, it keeps me free, it keeps my mind constantly in a creative space. So
Yeah, what's macro social work?
yes. So macro social work is the opposite of clinical social work, where we are working with communities. You're working
Mm.
with not just one on one. So your impact is going to hit multiple people at the same time. We're looking at like the research part of social work and just hitting a further like how do I say this? A further reach with the social work practice that we're doing, if that makes sense.
That makes sense. Before we jump into it, I do want to know what's your favorite Beyonce song?
It changes. It
Uh
changes.
oh,
It does
that's
change. I won't
that's that
lie.
Sagittarius in you.
It does. It is. It is. I think the first thing that comes to mind for me is the one. It's off of her B Day album, and I think I think it's called Resentment.
I don't know. I'm a
It's a
Beyonce
bonus
fan, but I
track.
can't name all her songs.
Okay, I think the song is called Resentment. Um,
You gotta
but
sing it.
it's a bonus track on that album.
You gotta
So
sing it for us.
uh, for those who know it, they'll remember it goes like, I only give you a hard time because I can't go on and pretend like I haven't tried to forget this. I'm much too full of resentment. And no, no, the rest, the
Okay,
song.
okay, okay. Can't say I know that one, but I think mine. I think everybody's Beyonce song changes on their mood because
Yes,
Beyonce has a
yes,
song for every single mood,
yes,
right?
yes,
She has a song. I like my favorite song with hers and Jay Z is like "Upgrade You,"
yes.
cra- um, "On the Run." I uh, I think I really like "Upgrade You" by
Okay.
Jay Z and Beyonce. I know that's one of the older ones, but
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I like cocky, confident Beyonce. Like when she's in her bag and she's like, "Ain't no one touching me," like
Mhm.
like Beyonce feeling like can't no one touch her. Like
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
just feel like can't no one touch me when Beyonce saying can't no one touch her. Like
Mhm.
those songs, like she can't no one touch her.
Yeah,
But
yeah. It's those songs like Formation. That's definitely a cocky song.
yeah,
Ego. Yeah.
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 Those songs, I just be when Beyonce's feeling herself, I'm just like,
Yeah.
yeah, this is what's up. This is what's up. So when we think of eating disorders, they typically portray the media white women, right? When we think
Mhm.
of eating disorder, anybody close their eyes, they're automatically picturing white women.
Mhm.
But truth is, there's a lot of black women and black men who have eating disorders, and
Mhm.
there's just not a lot of information out there. So let's start off big. What are some misconceptions you want to dispel right off the back when it comes to black women and eating disorders?
Yeah. So I mean, I think you hit it right on the nose. When we think about eating disorders, historically, they're portrayed as like young, thin, white girls and white women. You think about people who look like skin and bones, if you will. Someone right now who's unfortunately in the media. for like what people are assuming could possibly be an eating disorder because of how thin she is right now, Ariana Grande. We don't know that that's what is going on with her. It could be many things. But typically, when you see someone who looks like her, like she is the typical um, portrayal of someone who you would think would have an eating disorder. When you think about Black women, Black people, our like the eating disorders that show up in our community tend to be binge eating disorder, whereas anorexia nervosa, AN, if you will, is more prevalent in white communities. For our community, it's going to be binge eating disorder and also bulimia. So, what it looks like for us, it could be behaviors can look like stress eating. It can look like comfort eating, right? Or sometimes we think, oh, I'm just not really disciplined in my eating. And a lot of times, instead of looking at it as, okay, this could actually be a problem, this could actually be disordered eating, which can lead to an eating disorder, we are oftentimes just dismissed as, oh no, that's just your comfort eating or you're stressed, so that's why you're eating.
That's interesting. I never really thought of it like that. So thank you for right off the bat dispelling some ignorance in my mind. So when we think about binge eating and stress eating for that matter, what are some early signs of that?
Mm-hmm. So, with binge eating disorder, a lot of times what you'll see is people who are eating even though they're not hungry or they're eating past their fullness cues. So, I don't know if you've ever been to like a restaurant where like you have a lot of food and instead of like taking after you're finished feeling full, taking, a doggy bag home or doggy plate home, you just continue to eat past that to the point where like it's like hard to breathe or like your stomach
Mm.
hurts, not because the food was bad or nasty, but because you ate so much of it. And so it's like you're like trying to breathe while walking out to your car or whatever like that. With binge eating disorder, people are eating past their fullness cues to a point of like extreme discomfort. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah. It also
So,
includes like after eating, feel like an immense amount of shame or guilt, self judgment after the episode of binging.
okay, let's talk about that guilt and self judgment. How does that usually play out?
For someone with who's just finished binging,
Y-
or with binge eating disorder just in general. So a lot of times what people are saying is like after they finish the episode, they are judging themselves. They're look like in hindsight, if you will, they're judging themselves for how like why did I do this again? Um, why can't I stop? And instead of thinking about like, okay, well, what behaviors or what thoughts or emotions kind of led me to doing this, they're judging themselves. They're coming down on themselves. They're shaming themselves. Um, and engaging in probably thoughts and conversations that also just keep that cycle going of like I'm a bad person, I don't have the discipline, um, and this is my fault. This is a me thing instead of thinking outside, like, okay, what is causing this? What is causing me to continue to repeat this cycle?
Mm, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So let's specifically talk about black women. There's this image that they have to uphold, these beauty standards that are unfairly placed upon black women by society.
Mm-hmm.
What role does that play in disordered eating?
Yeah. So the first thing that kind of comes to mind for me is like the whole strong black woman trope, right?
I
And
hate
like,
that.
yes, yes.
And I've been told by the woman that I'm dating that my girlfriend, my wife, she's like, "Hey, you know, stop calling me strong."
Yes, yeah. Because with black women and the idea of being strong, it's essentially saying like, oh, okay, we're so strong that we don't need help, and we're so strong that we don't need other people. And it's going to sound cliche, but it's the truth. Who comes to help the strong person? Who comes to help the
Hmm.
strong woman? Like we can't do it all. We're human. Perfection doesn't exist. So what happens when the strong person isn't strong anymore? And so for black women to constantly be upheld to this idea of, oh, you're strong, you can do it, and this, that, and the other, we're forced essentially to be this unshakable character or thing that we aren't. And it looks different for everybody. For some of us, we're caregivers of like, our parents or our children. For some of us, we're wives. For some of us, we are, CEOs, or just, we work. We're in the work field. And so for us, that over functioning means that we're neglecting ourselves. And in my opinion, please let me know your thoughts. In my opinion, when we are neglecting ourselves, it's a loss of control. So we're looking for control in other ways. And for some of us, it comes in what we eat or what we choose not to eat, because some people will, restrict, they'll self-restrict. And for some people, they will purge. Some people, they will engage in like rigid food rules. And some people, yeah, they'll engage in what's considered emotional eating, if you will. But when I look at it, I think about like what purpose is that behavior kind of serving, right? And again, I think it just goes back to figuring out like what are we trying to get control of, and what have we kind of lost control of, and how can we kind of mitigate that lack of functioning in that space.
Yeah, it's not directly related to food, but you did bring up the sense of control. I was talking to my therapist the other day about the
Hmm.
subject of control,
Hmm.
and I'm in the middle of a job search, and I love my job, but we were talking about satisfaction and control, and I'm one of those people who's always looking for more and always
Okay.
trying to find that satisfaction.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I can't control this job search,
Yeah.
and I can't control who wants to hire me, who likes my resume, who likes my cover letter,
Right.
but I can, of the things I can control, I try to control. And I never realized that I was necessarily a controlling person in that regard. But
Hmm.
I'm starting to realize I might be a controlling person. And is that similar to maybe someone with a disordered eating? Like they feel like the sense what they can control is their eating, so that's where they have their power. Is that
Yeah.
similar?
Yeah. Yeah. It's So I always tell people, like when I'm working with people living with disordered eating, or someone who's just interested in like learning more about it, especially in how it shows up in our community. With the control aspect, it comes with a lack of like trying to figure out like where like over I said it before, but over functioning, if you will.
Mm,
Like we have to do so much, and at the end of the day we're depleted. So how can we make up for all of that drainage? Oh, well, I get to choose what I want to eat or what I don't want to eat. I get to decide what stays in my house and what doesn't stay in my house food wise. I get to decide if I want to, eat only between these hours, even though it might not necessarily be the best thing for me, the healthiest thing for me. And so yeah, just like what you said with your example, it's in my opinion, it equates to the same thing. We're looking for a sense of control in areas where we don't have it, so we need to make that up.
yeah, I remember growing up, my aunt and my cousin, I remember one time they said I can't get up from the table until I finish eating my food.
Yep.
And
Yep.
I pulled that trick with my son one time, not trick. I said it to my son one time. I said, "You can't get off the table until you finish your food."
Hmm.
And know what he did? He fell asleep at the table.
Yep.
And I
Look.
said, "I'll never tell him that again." And to my credit, I never did. I never told him he's supposed to finish his food until he can't get up to he finish his food. And I
Hmm.
realized I was just like, I had to think. I told him that because I was told that, right? There
Hmm.
was no basis in reality for me to be like, well, he's full. I never thought, well, he's full. I shouldn't push him past push him past the fact that he's full. I shouldn't make
Yeah.
him eat because I made his plate,
Yeah.
right? He didn't make
Yeah.
his own plate. I made his plate. I gave him more food than he could eat.
Yeah.
But in black culture, food is sacred, right? This
Yep.
We bond over food. I was
Yep.
telling you before we started recording, my family reunions today,
Hmm.
and I'm sure there's gonna be plates upon plates. My family can cook. They can cook. They can cook their butts off.
Yes.
And I wish I was there. I would have plate upon plate upon plate upon plate, and I would eat it all, right?
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking about it like we're eating past our limit
Yeah.
oftentimes, and we think about the role that culture plays in eating disorders. Can you tell me a little more about that?
Yeah. So, when I think about like culture and food, right, especially within our communities, within Black communities, Food is love, food is culture, food is family, food is tradition, food is so many things. Food is apologies. It's so many things. And so we don't want to reject our traditions. And at the same time, I think it's important for there to be like a us be able to separate connection from consumption, if you will, right? So if clients can enjoy family gatherings and their traditional or their cultural foods while also making food choices that support their health, who they want to be when it comes to food, or if they're in recovery, like being able to make those choices. I also think about boundaries that we have to have. You said, like with your son, he didn't finish his plate. And so you made him sit there and he decided he was going to go to sleep. I don't know about you, but I remember like as a black child and like people saying because this kid's in Africa starving, and it's like,
Yes.
and as an adult, when I think back on that, I'm like, one, that's true, and me finishing or not finishing my plate is not going to fix that, right? And then two, it's a way. It started at a very young age as a way to kind of guilt kids or just people into eating food, eating past their hunger, eating past their hunger cues, eating past their fullness cues, if you will. And so when we think about that and we grow up and it's like, okay, well, this is what I'm supposed to do. This is my tradition. This is respect in my family is to eat the plate that my mother fixed me or to eat the plate that my grandmother fixed me. And when we are looking at boundaries now in our culture and like how it relates to food and things like that, being able to say to a family member, hey, this is all I want. Or, hey, I can't finish that, but thank you for making the food. I'm grateful that you came and that you made the food, but this is what I'm going to have. Like respectfully navigating those family expectations or pressures around food.
Yeah, one of the things I even struggle with now is the concept of just eating enough,
Hmm.
right? It's
Hmm.
like I live I live a lifestyle to where like I can put away my leftovers,
Hmm.
but it's still sometimes so oh, I just have a little left, like let me
Yeah.
just finish it.
Yep. Yep.
And that adds up, right? I take medicine. Sometimes it causes me to gain weight. Sometimes it causes me to lose weight. I
Hmm.
lost like 30 pounds. I gained it back in like a month. And it
Hmm.
was so frustrating. So
Yeah.
I kind of gave up. And oftentimes, do you come across clients who maybe have made lifestyle changes, lost weight, then they gained weight, and they
Hmm.
sometimes just gave up and fell in a trap of disordered eating? Said, you know what, I'm just going to give up and just fall back into the lifestyle? Or
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think it's really easy for that to happen, especially when you've been working hard and you've been striving for something different. You've been doing what they've been telling you to do, right? And for it to kind of like just kind of backfire, like you said, with medications that you're on, sometimes you regain the weight that you worked so hard to put off. And so it's really easy to kind of just say, forget it. I'm just going to do what I want to do. This makes me feel better anyway. And it's again a way to control the situation. You can't control the fact that the medication makes you gain weight, but you can control how you feel about this feeling that's sitting in you right now, which can be very loud, right? That feeling of failure, that feeling of like just rejection or whatever it might be that's loud without remembering that there are also facts in the room. The fact is this medication is not me. Or whatever it might be. So yeah, absolutely, it happens all the time. I think it's a part of the recovery process though. So.
yeah, I think for me, what was hardest is knowing that I gained all the weight back like in a month.
Mhm.
I was down to like 190, then I went up to like 210 in a month. And it
Mhm.
was so frustrating because I worked my butt off to
Yeah.
get down to that weight. Like I was in the gym 4 days a week for like 3 months. I was still in the gym. Then I don't know what happened. The weight just said, I'm just coming all back.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I'm losing it again, slowly, but losing it again. And it's still frustrating because I think I eat pretty healthy, not the
Mhm.
healthiest, but I think I need to make better decisions around my body. I mean, you saying before you're a personal trainer. So how, when you're working with your clients, how often are they committed to those lifestyle changes along disordered eating? With how are those lifestyle changes, how do you help them make those lifestyle changes when it comes to disordered eating?
Yeah. So that's a good question. When I'm working with clients who are engaging in disordered eating while also trying to get strong or lose weight or just engage in more movement, more physical activity, I first ask them what, like, when they take away like the societal expectations. Oh, you should be this weight, you should be this size, you should be this shape, whatever. When I ask them to take away all of that, what do they really want? Sometimes they know and sometimes they don't. Most times they know, at least in my experience. In my experience, most times people have known. And so when I ask them, okay, well, what is wrong with that? What is wrong with what you want versus what society wants? It's a, the answers vary. But what I'm trying to get them down to, the point of the question is to get them to understand what feeling they're chasing. Because if they can figure out what feeling they're chasing, then we can kind of develop. It's gonna sound real mental healthy, but we're gonna develop like whatever coping strategies to help them chase that feeling versus chasing that look or that size or that shape, if you will. Is that, like, sometimes people will tell you, okay, you should eat avocados on whole wheat toast. But what if you're allergic to avocados? So you can't eat
Mm-hmm.
them. Then what? We look at, okay, well, what do you like? What are your cultural foods? What are your ethnic foods? And the same things that the same health benefits that avocados can hold, maybe another food from your cultural food can hold, from your cultural cuisine can hold as well, that you're not allergic to, that won't send you into, anaphylactic shock. But either way, what I'm trying to get them down to is the feeling, not necessarily the idea of what should be. Does that make sense?
Yeah, on a side note, it took me years to like avocado. Now I love avocado. Like, I'm not gonna lie. If I could put avocado on everything, I would. It took
Hmm.
me years to like avocado.
Hmm.
But um let's go back to black women specifically.
Hmm.
One of the things I see is on TV, if there's a black woman, there's she's either really skinny or really big. There's no normal, quote unquote, normal size like black woman, average
Hmm.
size black woman on TV, right?
Hmm.
She's either really skinny or really big. So why is it that on in Hollywood that there's only two sizes of black women, right? Why
Yeah.
that's you may not know the answer to that, but that's something I always wondered out loud is like, why aren't there just normal sized black women on TV? Why is it that she's either really big or really skinny?
Yeah.
And I don't really have an answer or a question for that.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just something
Yeah.
that just kind of just popped into my head. It kind of
Yeah.
goes back to like the loud dark skin trope in Hollywood, like
Yeah.
loud dark skinned black women, big black woman trope in Hollywood.
Hmm.
Um, and it just got me thinking about some of these disordered eating, and I'm thinking back even to the Parkers. What was the daughter's name in the Parkers?
Mm. Kim?
Kim. They portrayed her as like this really big woman, and I was watching it maybe a year ago. She wasn't that big,
No, she wasn't.
right? And they just portrayed her as this really fat woman,
Hmm.
and like she wasn't.
Yeah.
But for a lot of people who were watching it, I would imagine who were having body image issues, and they would
Yeah.
probably just be like, "Oh my gosh, she's so fat." If they were that size, I know if I was that size, I would just be like, "Oh my god, I'm fat." Seeing this
Yeah.
woman my size,
Yeah.
and I just think of how the media portrays people.
Yeah.
What are
Yeah.
your thoughts?
No, I agree with you. Kim was not fat. But something that kind of came to mind as you were talking about that is the demonization of fatness. There's nothing wrong with being fat. There's nothing wrong with fat people. There's nothing wrong with people who wear a size 22 versus a size 2. There's nothing wrong with people who live in bigger bodies. When I think about Hollywood, I think about beauty standards, right? And how, especially in that industry, the beauty standard is European. It's more centered around like European beauty standards. Thin, um, the lighter you are, the better. Straight hair versus curly hair, all Eurocentric features, and how in order to be, a lot of times in order to be highly successful in that industry, you have to be as close to that as possible if you're not already that. So I'm thinking about like certain celebrities who more closely relate to that image or that idea of beauty, if you will, versus those who don't. And even like when we're looking at like casting, when we're looking at like you said, the darker skinned person, looking at the roles that they tend to be cast for versus lighter black people who are casted in more like mainstream roles, who are getting like the big box office hits, who are getting the higher paychecks, and even like the roles that the characters that they're playing, the roles like they're taken more seriously versus like the dark skinned black girl is the sidekick, the funny one, the ghetto one, or whatever. Like these stereotypical roles that they give people who are whose proximity is not as close to whiteness as lighter skinned people. And so when you're in that industry, I can only imagine how if you want to be the top, if you want to be, the next big thing, you have to subscribe to what they're looking for, which are Eurocentric beauty features, and
Yeah,
how that
and
can
this.
definitely lead into some type of eating disorder. I mean, look at who was it? Kerry Washington. She
Mhm.
spoke recently in her book. She spoke about her eating disorder. So yeah, I'm not surprised to hear that. Unfortunately.
And it's nothing wrong being attracted to fat women. There,
Mhm.
there was a meme I seen maybe a year or two ago. That's like, I like her, but she's fat, and it's just like, so you like her, right?
Right.
What
Right.
does her body size have to do with you liking her, right?
Right.
There's you like who you like their size of the person doesn't matter.
Exactly.
But
Exactly.
society has pushed the standard of beauty on us, and it causes people to have these eating disorders because they have to fit the certain mold that. And going back to even Ariana Grande, who you said might have one.
She
And
may or may not. It's not proven that she has one. She fits the look of someone, which is why
mm,
a lot of people think that she has one. But it's not. She hasn't come out and said that she has one. We don't know what's going on. We don't know what's going on. If anything's going on at all. But people are speculating that she has one because she fits the stereotypical look of what society pushes out as someone who has
okay,
an eating disorder.
that makes sense. That makes
Yeah.
sense. But going back to like black women who have one, like they push for the societal look, and
Mhm.
it's just like they want to conform to these beauty standards of these
Mhm.
men or society because they're told like if they're bigger, no one will love them, or if they're
Yep.
binge eating or doing all these things, and it's just like no,
Yeah.
like people secretly, people openly like want to hate bigger women, but
Yeah.
secretly like they like have these memes like, oh, I like her but she's bigger. Like
Yeah.
just be honest and open, you like someone,
Yeah.
right? Just
Yeah.
if we knock down those societal walls, life would be bigger, life would be better, rather, not bigger, life would be better. um I don't know, I just think there's so much beauty in life in all sizes, all shapes,
Mhm.
colors, and sizes.
Mhm.
I think some of the most beautiful people can just be any size, right?
Yeah.
I've dated
Yeah.
women bigger, smaller, taller. I dated this chef. She was like 6'3". I'm not 6'3". She towered
Yeah.
over me, but she
Yeah.
could cook. She could cook. I met her relative. She was the all her cousins were like 6'5", 6'6".
Wow. Wow.
I was just like, we could have had some NBA players.
Yeah, I definitely think about. I mean, it sits on me a lot because, like when you have like young girls in your family, I have a young niece, and society starts to really talk to girls, especially, um, as early as 4 years old. You'll hear
Mm,
little girls as early as 4 years old talking about body size and body image and skinniness and fatness and things like that. I remember one of the first times my niece had mentioned something about I don't want to be fat or big back. And trying to normalize bigger bodies with her. Her brain is not fully developed. So a lot of things are just not, she's not going to catch, but making sure that the rhetoric around her is it's okay to be big. You're probably going to have friends that are bigger than you. It's okay to be small. It's okay to be in between. It's okay to be who you are. It's okay to not fit the stereotypical look of what beauty success should look like, and setting the standard for like what she should be looking for in people and her friends versus what she should be looking for when it comes to their outward expression. Because
Mm,
if that's the case, does that mean that we also judge people who are differently able because they can't walk, or someone who has a prosthetic arm or a prosthetic leg? Like, does that make them less than? A body is a body. So,
yeah. So that's I had no idea that beauty standards. I knew that they were pressed upon people young, but I had no idea that people were like young women. They were like 4 years old,
hmm
and it was pressed on them that young. It's funny that you mentioned like prosthetics. So I am an amputee,
hmm
so I do get like the body image issues.
yep,
So like I do have body image issues based off that.
yeah,
So I do relate to that. I do have some, not, I wouldn't say it's full on body dysmorphia, but I do have it to a degree where it's just like I do feel less than adequate sometimes,
yeah,
less
yeah.
adequate sometimes because it's just like I don't have a full body, so I might have body dysmorphia. We can break that down another day. We can break, that's not the purpose of this, but I think you just woke something up upon in me.
Yeah. Can I
Um,
ask, if you don't mind, how do you kind of cope with that? How are you managing life as an amputee?
It happened when I was 9. So I'm what 35, so 26 years now.
hmm
Um, so I manage it pretty well most days, most months, most days. But it is a situation to where sometimes I'm just like, man, I wish I could just go out and go for a run. But
hmm
like if I run, it hurts. I
hmm
cycle, I bike, so it's a little easier on the joints. But there are days where I'm just like, I wish I was just normal bodied,
mm
able bodied, right? And I'm
Yeah.
not gonna lie, even to this day, I just wish it never happened.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I understand. I don't have much experience working with amputees, and even if I did, it's never my place to tell you, someone who lives at who that's part of your identity. Um, but it's definitely something that I've been interested in because it definitely contributes to body image.
mhm.
And like your body doesn't look like mine, doesn't look like his, doesn't look like theirs. So yeah, I
Yeah,
hear you.
I appreciate that. But yeah, I think yeah, I think I do have a bit of body dysmorphia. I think it's difficult to say out loud
hmm
because I know there's people who really hate their bodies,
Yeah.
and I don't want to quite say I hate my body. Like I love my body. I love who God made me to be,
hmm
but there are times where I don't appreciate what I look like.
Yeah.
I also think I'm the most handsome person who ever walked this earth, right? But there
yeah.
are times where I'm just like, I wish my body was made differently. I wish my body was whole,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But I know this face is the face of $1 million. But I wish this body would cooperate with the face,
Yeah.
right? I wish I could go somewhere, go to the beach without a kid staring at my foot,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And that took years for me to be comfortable with even doing that. When I was younger, I would wear something over it. Even now, some days I'm just like, should I just wear Crocs to the
Mhm.
beach, or Crocs to the water, things like that.
Mhm.
But you know, it is what it is. Most days I'm just able to get through it, but there are days in the back of my mind where I'm just like, should I just do something to mask it?
Yeah. I think it's important to kind of normalize that because it reminds me of a saying I heard years ago, like when people are going for like their dream job, right? And they're even like once you reach your dream job, there are still parts of your dream job that just annoy you that you don't want to do. I think we were talking about LeBron James and like how with him, like obviously basketball is his passion, that's his dream, and he's made it. But for some people, even though they've reached their dream of becoming this basketball player, maybe they hate going to not rehearsal, Lord, they hate going to practice. Like they're at their dream job, but this part of their dream job, having to go to practice, having to work out, having to do things off season, they don't necessarily love that part. And that is, I think, where the whole, for me at least, where the idea of perfection, it doesn't exist, because nothing is perfect. You can have your dream job, but there are still parts of it that you just don't like. And the same thing happens with our bodies. We can reach that goal weight or that goal size or that goal shape or whatever, and there will still be something that you're not 100% like, on par with, because
Mhm.
perfection doesn't exist. And so chasing after, I think, a feeling, like recognizing, okay, what feeling am I going after? Or like what am I trying to do? Like what's the function here that I'm trying to meet? That I'm using restriction or binging to kind of cope with? What feeling are you trying to reach by covering up your foot or whatever it might be? Whatever you do to kind of mask that, if you will. And how can we as people figure out better ways to manage instead of hiding ourselves? What can we do to create the feeling of wholeness that doesn't include masking or making ourselves smaller, literally and figuratively?
Yeah, I dig that. I appreciate that. It's funny because I always say to myself, I have to be thankful I'm living one of my prayers, and I am. I
Mm-hmm.
have everything I've ever wanted besides the salary. I have,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Wow.
I literally
Wow.
have everything I've ever wanted right now,
Yeah.
right? And I have to be thankful for that. I have to tell myself I have to be thankful for that. But there's still part, and like I was telling you earlier about my therapist and the satisfaction thing,
Mm-hmm.
right? I have to learn to be satisfied with what I have. But it's still difficult. It's still difficult to do that,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I have to be grateful. I have to be satisfied. But there's still parts of my job and parts of me that I don't like or I don't want to do,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And but I do have my dream job, my current dream job. There's always this next step that I have my 5-year plan to the next
Mm-hmm.
role,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm currently in my current dream job. I'm currently in,
Nice.
right?
Congratulations.
But I have my next dream job,
Yeah.
and for me, it's always been, what's the next dream job? How do you get to the next dream job? How do you get to
Yeah.
the next one? How do you get to the next one? And how do you get to the next one?
Yeah.
So when I think about disorders and disordered eating, how do you help your clients get to that next marker? Like, okay, you're here at step one, you recognize you have disordered eating or eating disorder. How do you help them once they realize that? How do you get into that next marker of, okay, you recognize you have a problem. Where's milestone number one? What is milestone number one for them?
Mm-hmm. Once somebody recognizes that they have disordered eating or or full blown like diagnosable eating disorder, the next step in my what I do in my practice is ask them, okay, what do you need? What is it that you need? For some people, a lot of times with eating disorders or disordered eating, there's always something else. There's trauma that comes with it. There's depression that comes with it. There's ADHD that comes. There's always something else. So what is it that you need so that we can focus on that? Because it's not just about the food. It's not just about the eating. There's something that, like I said earlier, there's something that the eating is functioning, like use that the person is using as a coping mechanism to function for something. So can we figure out, okay, you're using food to cope with this, your trauma, your ADHD, whatever it might be. How can we identify what that is and come up with healthier ways to take out the overeating or the restrictive eating and replace it with something else? But definitely the part about acknowledging and recognizing that, hey, this is what's happening to me, this is what's going on. That can be depending on what's going on, that can be a process and a long journey in itself. Um, but after the realization hits and acceptance kind of comes with it, it's like, okay, well, what do I need? So I know what I have, I know what's going on. What do I need, and how do I work towards that?
Okay, that makes sense. I think acceptance is a key piece to everything,
Yeah, yeah.
right? I know when I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder, I had two choices. I can accept it or deny it, right? I chose to accept it because my life was a shit show, right?
Mm,
To say the
mm,
least. I was professionally, I was it. but my personal life was in shambles,
Yeah.
right? Like everything was not crumbling, everything was crumbled. It was in ruins,
Mhm.
right? So I had no choice but to accept it. And it seems like for a lot of your clients, they had that choice was to accept it so they can figure out what they needed. And similar, that was similar to me. Um, I I needed help. I got the help they needed. I started on my medication, and I've been on medication for the past 4, 5 years, maybe, and
Mhm.
it's made a big difference in my life.
Yeah.
Um, so right now, if a black woman was listening to this and she's just like, I may be dealing with I might be dealing with this, or I I might know someone who might be, or I could potentially think I am, or anything along those lines, and she's listening, what would you want to tell her?
Yeah. I would tell her, hmm, I would tell her to first, obviously, if she thinks that that's what's going on, is to get professional help, because depending on what it is, if it's like, restrictive eating, severe restrictive eating, if it's severe binging, definitely getting the help with that, because those can be very dangerous if not deadly. And then the second thing that I would say is I would ask her about what she's giving herself. Does she give
Mm,
herself the opportunity to not perform, especially like we talked about earlier, if she is in, if part of her identity includes caregiving, if she is a wife, if she is a mother, making sure that she has opportunities where she doesn't have to perform, where she's able to be a true and whole, her whole self. Um, Opportunities for her to not have to experience like shame and guilt and judgment for not being the things that other people need her to be. And then the last thing I would, the last thing I think I would tell her is like to, the last thing I would tell her is to find opportunities to remind herself and her nervous system, especially, that she's okay to be her as well.
mm,
She's okay to
yeah.
just be her.
Let's talk about the topic of radical self grace. I
Mhm,
think a lot of times black women don't give themselves enough grace,
mhm,
right? And I think self grace is an important topic to discuss as we end the podcast.
mhm.
Um, I think black women specifically have to be a lot for a lot of people that
Yeah,
black men don't have to be, right? And black women, they have to be the caregiver. They have to take on so much responsibility, even at a young age.
mhm.
You know, they even before 18, they're like, especially for the oldest child, they're like, we have to
Good
take
child.
on they have to take on the emotional labor, right?
Yes.
Then if even if they're the youngest, as they age, they're expected to take on so much, right? And
Yep.
if they fall short of those expectations, they it's a negative thing. There's not negative consequences, but there's that negative connotations of you're not good enough, or you failed, or you can't hold stuff together.
Yeah.
So how can black women give themselves some self grace in your opinion?
Yeah. I think it comes back to recognizing again in that moment, what does that person need?
Mm,
Do you need rest? Do you need a sandwich? Do you need 10 minutes of silence? I'm thinking about my moms out there. Um, and not trying their best. I know easier said than done. Trying their best not to focus on what others need or what others need from her, just focusing solely on in that moment, what do you need? If you're a mother, if you're a caregiver, whatever your role might be, you already know that you're going to be needed. You know you're going to be pulled in multiple directions. And I think it's very easy and happens often that we forget about ourselves because the baby needs this, my husband or my wife needs this, someone else needs this. And we never take that step back to just think about, okay, in this moment, I just woke up. What do I need? Do I need to just lay in this bed for another 10 minutes with silence? Do I need rest? Rest? Do I need a, whatever? What do I need in that moment? And being able to create the opportunity to just take the moment for themselves. I think that is a micro step of radical self grace.
on the flip side, I was talking to another podcast guest, and she said we often rely other people often rely too much on black women,
Hmm.
and she was like, think about the people you go to first in your life, and they're often women.
Mhm.
And I thought about it when I'm in trouble. The first two people I go to are my cousin and my mom,
Mhm.
and they are black women, right?
Mhm.
And I was just like, it's so subconscious or unconscious. I can't think of the word right now. That it's it's like I'm in trouble. Let me go to one of them,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And it's so ingrained into me that I never even thought I was doing that. I never realized I was doing that until she brought it up.
Mhm.
So, what are some ways that we can recuse ourselves from always relying on them and giving them grace and give them the space and setting boundaries, not them setting boundaries for us, but setting boundaries for them so we're not always relying on them so
Mhm.
they can get the grace that they need, they can take care of themselves.
Yeah. The first thing that came to mind for me, Jerron, with that question is asking. A lot of times, like you said, like when something happens, you immediately turn to your cousin or your mom. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but I think asking them first, not saying that you are someone who's calling like mom and just immediately dumping, but calling your cousin, hey, do you have time for me to express something real quick? Do you have time for me to unload something that I'm experiencing right now? And giving them the opportunity to say, yes, I have capacity for that, or no, I don't have capacity for that right now. That way you'll know, and then you can figure out, all right, what do I need to do? Do I need to turn to myself? Do I need to turn inward, take time for myself? Is there someone else that I can turn to in my moment of need? That way it's not always on the black women in your life, specifically for you, your cousin, and your mother, but just asking them. I think curiosity is really, really important in these spaces. And so giving people the opportunity to tell you, yes, I'm here, I have it, or no, I don't have it.
Yeah, that's big. That's major, and that's something I haven't thought of. So thank you for
Mhm.
that, because I know there's black women dealing with a lot of things, and you brought up disordered eating, and that's one of the things that we often don't associate with black women. So thank you for bringing that to our attention, and I hope whoever's listening to this podcast can be mindful of that, especially if you're a black woman who might be dealing or might think you're dealing with disordered eating, that you're not alone and there are resources out there. So if
Mhm.
you can share some of those resources with us, if someone who might be dealing with disordered eating.
Yeah. So the first one that comes to mind is Project Heal. It's an organization that is dedicated to working with all people of no matter what race, background, skin color, who are living with disordered eating or eating disorders. The second one that comes to mind for me is going to be NEDA, NEDA. It stands for National Eating Disorder Association. And then the third one is the Eating Recovery Center. All three of those can be accessed just by Googling them and getting information about them. And they are all open to individuals of color, and anyone, any and everybody.
Awesome. So I do want to know this. We know Beyonce is that girl. We know Beyonce is that girl, right?
Yes.
Who else are you listening to?
Who else am I listening to? I it's funny, I made a playlist a few days ago and my sister was begging me for it. I am a 90s kid, and 80s baby, 90s kid, late 80s baby, 90s kid. And so I think of like Tony Braxton, of course, Whitney Houston.
Okay.
Yes. I think about Brandy. But if you're asking me who is like currently on like constant rotation, it's gonna be Kaylani and her new album. It is phenomenal. It is pure R&B. It is the first album in a very, very, very long time for me that I have not skipped one song. I just let it play through.
I don't like her voice.
Oh my gosh.
I got to be honest. I don't like her voice.
Okay,
I
okay.
don't. Her voice just doesn't do it for me. Her her voice, I don't know what it is. People be like, "I love her." I'll
I
just be
love
like,
her.
"Exactly." People just exactly what you just said. And I'm just like, I can't do it. I just can't. I can't do it. Maybe I'll have to give this album another try, or give this album a try.
Have you heard any songs off of it? I've folded.
No,
It's you.
I've like 3 years ago, whatever she first came out, I was just like, her voice doesn't do it for me, so I've just avoided her.
Got you. Okay. Okay. I have an artist or two that I feel that way about, like their voice kind of just like I'm like, hey, no, so no for
And Big
me.
Sean's like that for me too.
Big Sean. Okay.
he
Okay.
his voice, people like Big Sean so great. I'm like, so you said you're a big '90s kid. What's your favorite '90s show?
My favorite. Well, if we're talking about, so when I think about shows, I think about like like live human beings and then
Yeah,
cartoons.
'90s. Yeah, live.
Yeah. So 90s. Hmm. Was Moesha in the 90s?
Yeah.
Moesha.
Okay.
I, for
Good one.
whatever reason, I always think she was like early 2000s. She was 90s. I loved Moesha. Now, when they started switching up the cast and stuff like that, like the different, it almost felt like different eras of Moesha because like there
Mm,
were like three different theme songs and like there's one generation of Moesha where the theme song was different. I was like, I don't like this. And the show felt different also. I think it's when Ray J came on and like they like he became her brother and like
mm,
they wrote him into the script that way. After that, I was like, yeah. But everything before that, Moesha wise, I loved it.
yeah. Mine is
Yeah.
Living Single.
Okay. 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 Martin?
Not a big fan.
Really? Okay.
No, no,
Okay.
no,
I like Martin as well. I love Martin.
no. I would say after Living Single, Fresh Prince, of course. I think every
Okay.
yeah,
Okay. I like the Parkers. I know we talked about it earlier, but I like
Parkers
the
is good.
Parkers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Especially when
grew
they
up.
would have different celebrities and things come on. So that was always cool.
My brother and me. That was a good one. I didn't know it was on like a season
Mm.
or two, but I
Mm-hmm.
was Keenan and Kel, like those kid shows, or
Yes. I think about Rugrats. When I think about
yeah,
like cartoon shows,
cartoon
Rugrats
shows. Yeah,
always comes to mind. Are you
Rugrats,
a
A&M,
anime
of course.
person? Yeah. Yeah. Sailor Moon from the
Sailor
90s.
Moon was dope.
Yep.
Dragon Ball Z.
Dragon Ball Z. My sisters would tell you I used to be up until like 1 a.m., 2 a.m. watching Dragon Ball Z. So yeah, love those.
Yeah.
Love
So
those.
now I'm going to turn it over to you so you can ask any questions that maybe popped up during the
Yes.
podcast or anything that you want to know. It could be pop culture, health related, anything that you want to know.
Yes, I think I told you before we started that I was listening to a few episodes and just listening to other guests that you've had and the information and things that they've had. And something that kind of came to mind for me was a question that somebody asked that spawned my question. If you were a treasure chest, what would be the one thing you'd want people to find memorable?
Ooh, that's a great. I've never had that question ever or heard that question.
Mm.
I'm gonna start asking people that question. Um, I would say a picture. I'm gonna combine like a picture of me, my son, my grandmother, and my uncle. Like
Generation.
a picture of all four of us. This is a
Yeah.
picture of me, my son, and my uncle, and that picture is literally like the best picture ever. My grandmother passed when I was 13,
Okay.
but if there's any way to make a magic picture of all four of us, that'd probably be like my keepsake forever. I probably would
Yeah.
be buried with that picture.
I love that. I love that. Okay. Okay. Um, my next question. What is the best piece of advice that stuck with you?
Going back to my grandmother and uncle, my grandmother always taught me to be kind. One
Mm,
day, we're in a grocery store, my aunt was rude to this lady. My grandmother pulled me aside. She said, "Don't do that. Just be kind to
mm,
people."
yeah.
And ever since that day, I was just like, just gonna be kind. My uncle, he taught me just be confident. So just be kind and confident. That's how I operate my life, with kindness and confidence. And
Yeah.
if that's the one piece of advice I can give anybody, just be kind to everybody and just be confident in all that you do.
Yeah. Yeah. Mine is when you're going through hell, don't stop. Keep going.
Mm,
You got
yes,
to get
love
through
that.
it.
You got to get through
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Like don't stop. You don't want to stay there. Keep going. Um that stuck with me for years now. So, yeah. You said that you have a snake.
I
Mhm.
do.
We were talking about bringing our animals on the podcast. Mine, thank God, stayed asleep the entire interview. So, your snake. Can you tell me a little bit about your love for those things?
So I've always been a reptile fan. There was this reptile shop that opened up down the street from our neighborhood, and my cousin started working there. Then he sells snakes, breeds snakes,
Mm.
and he is during the pandemic. Cause I actually at a bar drinking, and I sent him a message. I just want to buy a snake from you. So he sold me a snake. He sent it to me, and I've had the snake for like six years now. It's about five
Wow.
feet. It's a rainbow bower, but it's gray. It's a morph.
Okay.
5 feet, but it's skinny. So
Okay. Interesting. I don't do reptiles. Well, that's a lie. One of my cousins growing up, he had iguanas, and I actually really like those.
I have iguanas. Some iguanas are really cool. Had
Yeah.
one iguana. I didn't have the iguana, but one iguana I interacted with was very crazy. It like cut my arm up. I had scars all over my arms.
Wow.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah. I like them. I wouldn't mind having one. I probably never will, but I wouldn't mind having that reptile.
Mm.
And we had turtles, like little turtles growing up as well, me and my siblings. So yeah.
I see. You might as well just get a snake.
Nah, no, no, thank you. No, thank you. I won't take it that far. Um, Going back to VCU, I know that we both went there at different stages in our academic careers. I also know that we're both members of D9 organizations. Why Alpha Phi Alpha?
Uh, it was easy. I wanted to be a leader.
Okay.
So Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, they came back while I was on campus my freshman year. So
Okay.
they came back in fall 2008. They had a probate in spring '09 just because
Hmm.
they were charted in fall '08. They came
Hmm.
back and every single leader on campus was an alpha.
Gotcha.
And I was just like, I want to be a leader on campus. So I was
Yeah.
like, in the summer, I was talking to one of them. I was like, "Oh, I was just chit chat and didn't really show interest because that's
Hmm.
just not who I am."
Hmm.
Then I showed up to the interest meeting and I was just like, "Yeah, I'm here." Then it's then I got that call. I was just like, I messaged one of my friends. I was like, "I know you got the call. I need a ride. Can we go?" Me and my best friend, one of my best friends, we went to the interest meeting together
Hmm.
and we joined together. Yeah, and that was it.
Hmm.
So I just wanted to be a leader, and alphas. What better way to be a leader than become an alpha?
Gotcha. Gotcha.
White
Okay.
Delta. I love me some Deltas. But I love AKAs and I love all D9
Hmm.
organizations. I actually worked at
Hmm.
the SG headquarters in North Carolina.
Get
I had lost
out.
I had lost my job. I worked there. I was a temp hired there before I moved to Richmond. I worked at
Yeah.
SG headquarters. Really,
Yeah.
I love the SG. I had no job. They gave me a job. I love the Zetas. I love the Deltas. I love the AK.
Hmm.
I love them all.
Hmm.
Like
Hmm.
I haven't met a bad Greek. You know, my I don't say I don't say anything about the Qs, but all the D9.
Uh-huh.
Mm,
Yeah, I
I'll be
agree.
nice to everybody.
I
I'll be nice.
agree. I
I'm grown
agree.
now, so I won't say anything bad about the Qs since I'm an adult now.
My experience with certain organizations definitely changed throughout my academic career. I told you before I was at VCU, I was at another school, and my idea of what a few organizations were was definitely changed once I got to VCU. Thank God, by the grace of God. So, but I feel the same. I love all of us. I love all of us. We created opportunities for us when we were living in a time where those opportunities were, hell, even still, where those
Hmm.
opportunities were being, blatantly stripped from us, and or just not given, not created for us at all. And so we created those things amongst other things. So, but I chose Delta Sigma Theta and Sorority Incorporated for similar reasons as you. They were the leaders on my campus. Even at home, I had a mentor who was a Delta, and I didn't know until I started looking at sororities. I did my research on all of them to make sure I chose the one that best fit who I was and who I wanted to be and what I saw in my community. And so once I got to VCU's campus, I knew for a fact. So I was like, I want to play Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, and I did my due diligence to ensure that I was able to do that. So.
Yeah, I didn't even know what fraternity sorority was until I got to college.
I was
So
a little aware in high school, but not as aware as like when I got to college. Yeah. So
yeah,
that's
it was great. Any more questions or?
No, I think that's it. That's all that's coming to mind right now.
Well, thank you so much for being on this podcast today. It
Yeah,
was
thank you for
great.
having
We
me.
had a great conversation. Time
Yes.
flew by. Um, Thank you.
Of course. Thank you for having me, Jordan. I appreciate it.
Of course.